Tindy C. This is Radio Fox.
This is Tindy C and I'm at the Leicester premiere of the film Beverley. Yeah, what can I say? Beverley Thompson, the original rude girl.
I suppose so, yeah. I'll take that claim to fame.
Would you like to tell our audience out there, what is this film about?
It's about my experience as a teenager growing up in Leicester in the 1980s. I started out in Highfields, which was a multicultural area, lots of people from different races, different backgrounds, different cultures. And then when I became a teenager, the family moved to Oadby, and it was a culture shock. Here I was in quiet suburbia, complete opposite to the Highfields, but it was also the first time that I came up against racism.
Tindy C.
And tensions are mounting, the stars are arriving, and it seems very exciting.
I'm Laya Lewis and I play Beverley.
I'm Trevor and I play Carl, Bev's brother.
So nice to meet you both. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, very excited, definitely. A bit anxious.
Yeah, this is a bit of a first for me, so it's good just to sort of soak up the atmosphere, and yeah, it's really exciting.
This is a premiere in Leicester now, isn't it?
Yeah.
To represent Leicester's really good. And
are you actually Leicester based?
Yeah, born and bred Leicester, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Leia, can you identify to the character of Bev at all?
Yeah, just purely from my race, really. Just growing up being mixed race, obviously a lot of the issues in the film are quite close to home. I know it's a different era, but it's definitely a lot of the same content is very relevant now.
So do you feel that the time has changed at all, or is it pretty much the same thing but in a different format now?
I think times change, but I definitely, when I was a teen, dealt with race issues coming from a white side and a black side due to the fact that I was mixed race. So I think that it's always going to be, people are always going to have their own opinions, and it's always going to be an issue somewhere.
Okay, so how do you think we're tackling it generally as a society?
Oh, we're definitely, we've come a long way, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, I guess it's just about raising awareness and kind of breaking down ignorance, really, and integrating.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
I hope you enjoy it, yeah. It's really cool to shoot it.
A lot of hard work went into it, a lot of people gave up a lot of time, and it was stressful as well, so I'm looking forward to everyone seeing the final cut, basically, because it's I'm very proud of it. I worked on it a lot before we started filming, so I like to think I portrayed definitely, in the character, a side of the real Beverley and a side of myself as well. That was my kind of plan.
I'm Kieran Hardcastle. I play Wilson in the film Beverley, which is sort of the leader of the skinhead gang and sort of Beverley's love interest, really.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm thinking, very interesting.
Spoiler alert, yeah. I say love interest. I was going to give you more spoilers then. You'll have to just watch and see how that develops. But yeah, obviously playing a white guy who's involved with a sort of very much the fringes of the National Front that sort of materialise in, and then to have this sort of affiliation with this mixed race girl is a sort of conflict of interest for my character there, which I think is quite interesting and something that I was really keen to explore in this.
That sounds amazing. I cannot wait to watch this now, see how that pans out.
Yeah, no, well, absolutely. It's lovely everyone being here today, and just sort of a bit of a reunion. I mean, there's been a few screenings that have been going down really, really well, and it's been nice to see everyone, but this is sort of where the fun begins, really. I mean, I'm from Nottingham, and it's good. I'm always keen to sort of get collaboration within the Midland cities, I'm down here a lot. I've been doing a lot at the Curve as well recently, so big up Leicester.
Hi, I'm Vicky McClure, and in Beverley I play the mum of the family, Caroline.
How are you feeling now, just before the premiere, the Leicester premiere?
Yeah, it's great. We did a bit of a screening last night in Nottingham, which is my home city, and obviously Leicester's the neighbouring city, so it's great to be here, and everyone's just really passionate about it. It's a really beautiful film. There's been a lot of heart and soul and a lot of talent in it, so yeah, I'm really pleased to be a part of it.
That's fantastic. So have you got a lot out of this personally, this project?
Yeah, I have. I wouldn't take it unless I thought, there was something I could give to it and something I could take away from it. So it was a good experience for me, playing a sort of slightly older character now. I'm getting to that age where my children get older, a bit daunting. and obviously the actual subject piece. I've worked on, obviously This Is England before, which has got a similar sort of tone and similar storyline, but this is more towards the two-tone side of things, and the music and the style is slightly different. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure working on. Alex, who directed it, and Cass, the producer, are two of the most passionate people I've met. So there was lots of love for it, and everybody was very welcoming.
Hello, my name's Lewis Fernandez, and I play the role of Lee in Beverley.
Can you tell us a bit more about the role of Lee?
The role of Lee, I'm sort of I'm a part of the skinhead gang that Beverley gets in with in the film, who's played by Laya. I'm sort of one that is sort of, everybody in the skinhead gang is receptive to her on different levels. My character is sort of more of one of the horrible ones. He really doesn't like her, he's really not into her, and he's also quite racist as well, which is not very nice. He's not a nice bloke, basically, a very narrow-minded, bigot type of person. Hopefully when people come out from the screen, they won't beat me up or anything after hearing some of the terrible things I've said.
So what was it like playing a character like that?
It was just sort of, I think even today you see a lot of racism. In the 80s, there's always clips you can look back on. It's always present within music, within TV. So to get in the mindset, it's not as hard as you think it would be, if you know what I mean. I've met narrow-minded people, I've met racist people. I'm quarter Portuguese Indian. A lot of people don't know that. In fact, I don't think I've told Cass or Alex that, the producer or director. I don't think they know that. But it's been around, so
I thought you looked slightly Hispanic.
Yeah. Well, my last name is Fernandez. That comes from Portuguese, but my grandfather is actually Indian. So yeah, there's a lot of racial tension in England. Not so much now, but in the 80s. So looking back on that, you can see it, you can take it, you can adapt it into your performance, and just try and give your best interpretation of what a person like that might be like.
How much do you think it has changed, the situation now? Do you think there is still racism present, or do you think it's a bit more subtle these days? Or
I think there is racism still present, but I do think it is a lot more subtle. We're sort of, I think the 80s was a time when everybody was sort of fired up by the politics that were going on at the moment, and sort of would take it out on other races or anything that they could take it out on. Now we've got, I think especially the movie industries, the film industry has aided this. There's sort of films that portray Britain, but through the means of what you might class as a minority. You've got films like East is East. It's an extremely British film, but it's an Asian cast. So I think with things like this, people are starting to realise now that they didn't realise in the 80s, that no matter what the colour of your skin is or any previous culture that you might hold, we are the same. We stand for the same things, or at least similar, in Britain today. So I think racism is a lot more subtle now, and it's a lot harder to come by, which is obviously brilliant.
Well, I'm Ryan Flamson, and I just play a doorman. I'm only in one scene, but it was nice to be asked. Cass asked me personally to be in it, so I just thought, I'll come down and play a part for him. And I really enjoyed it. But the other doorman was Barrington Patterson, who's obviously a big name. So I just really enjoyed getting to spend the day with him, meet the crew. I mean, they're all top pros, aren't they? And some real good actresses in this, Laya and obviously Vicky. There's top Winston Ellis as well. So really just nice to be part of the project, to be honest.
So what are you looking forward to most about today, then?
It's just nice to see all the cast again. So then, I've worked with a lot of the guys and yourself, but then you come back and it's, even though I was only there one day, it's like you're one big family. Everyone just has a laugh, has a beer. We're going to have a good time.
Hi, my name's Marcus Langford. I play one of the National Front skinheads.
Okay, so Marcus, tell me, how was that?
Yes, it was quite enjoyable, really. Always enjoy a role that's portraying real life.
Okay, and do you remember a time in Leicester when the National Front were around? Because I've been in Leicester a long time and I don't remember that time.
No, I was born in 81, so I was too young to really remember it at first hand, but I do remember a lot of the stories, the things that went on. I have a lot of friends that was around at that sort of time. So,
how do you feel this film, Beverley, will do?
I think it will do very well, because what it's doing is it's helping integrate people. It's telling a story about how Beverley struggled to understand her own identity. So by what this is portraying, it's showing that that although we can struggle to understand our own identity, there is a way, adventure her through life like she has done now. She's finally figured it out, and she's sorted herself out into, you know, what her identity actually is, you know.
Hi there, I'm Suave Flava, and I play one of the Mixtown band members.
So tell me more about two-tone music.
It was a very popular music around that time, with lots of bands like The Specials, Selector, Bad Manners, you know, and...
It's two-tone. Does it mean sort of like mixed identities? Does it mean sort of
you
like...
could say that, yeah. It's like there was a lot of multicultural bands around in that time.
Would you say two-tone music was born around about the 1980s?
Ska dates back much further than that.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about Beverley?
It's a really good film. It's well shot, you know, well directed, and it leaves you wanting more.
Yes, Tindy C there. My name's Cass Pennant. I'm the producer of Beverley.
And we have just seen Beverley, and I am absolutely amazed. I really enjoyed it.
No, it's great. I mean, the reaction we're getting, I'm amazed. You know, we knew what we could do, but trying to do it, and, you know, you never know to audience reaction that you've achieved it. You don't really know until you see a reaction like today in Leicester. And that's, you know, that moves me. That kind of moves me and inspires me.
And so why did you personally decide to become involved with Beverley, should I say?
Well, it's actually, I've always had an idea ever since I've seen Quadrophenia. I think what it's done for the mod. I think the two-tone was underrated, particularly in the last 5-6 years since Tottenham riots. You see what's gone on, you see even today, there's two countries, there's the North and there's the South, and, you know, one's in recession, one's out, house prices, rule and divide, far right on the move again with various groups. You see all the signs, and I thought I ain't seen so many things that have been happening in the last 5 years since that 79-80 period, and I thought, what brought us together then? You know, I thought it wasn't politicians, it wasn't political correctness, yeah, it was none of that. It was people and it was musicians, yeah, you know, the Specials and the two-tone movement. I think that's been under-recognised. I've not seen anything give a legacy apart from a very well done documentary, and I thought, you know, it's been overlooked. We've got films on every subculture. I've been involved in some. I've had my own life story turned into a film, and you know, it's linked to football, subculture, and hooligans and stuff. And that was my first production, Casuals, and we made that. I had not heard of a female football casual. When we done the research for that film, we found there's one in Leicester called Beverley, and by interviewing her, I said, well, what was you before football casual? She said, I was a rude girl. And with that idea, I said, I've always wanted to make a film around two-tone, but I didn't have the story to hook that music movement into it. And I thought, there's my film. Yeah, because what she was saying was so powerfully social stuff. I said, I've got to revisit you after I made this documentary, because I think you got another story there. And that's what happened. I finished Casuals and went to interview Beverley, and I said, look, you know, we got to make this film. And I said, Alex, you know, I need your help if we put the right team together. And Alex is really talented. And I said, we're not going to get the funding as unknown directors and producers to make us a feature, but you're talented at making short films, and so why don't we make it as a short film and hope it's our calling card? And that's what started it, you know. And the script is actually an original script, but it's actually inspired by Beverley's story. And it's just amazing because we're calling it Beverley. We even got a title song out, the Stone Foundation, another band from the Midlands, you know.
Yeah, I've heard that, and it's a very good song.
Yeah, and you know, how that came about was amazing. I was at a concert and we were just talking backstage and said, what you're doing and all this, and I said, mate, it's film Beverley. And I said, have you thought of all the hits, you know, because you know, I think they're a very underrated band, and I said, all the best bands in the world, they call their songs after ladies, you know, Layla, and you can name it, and you know, we was naming all the songs after hit ladies, yeah. I said, the one ain't been done is Beverley. And the Stone Foundation went, right, we got it, Cass. You know what I mean? So it's just little human stories like that. I always say it's a people's film that was made for the people, with the people, by the people.
Fantastic. So what social messages do you think are being sent out by this film?
I think it's certainly a quest to identity. There's certainly, as a nation, I think we're going through a lot of experience now and a lot of worrying times, yeah? And when things get dark, people try and rule and divide people, yeah, and it looks like it gets worse and there's not an ending, you know. And our film, though, is set in 1980, it shows you can come together as a people, you can figure it out yourself and you can find a way. But the story itself is almost a coming of age, and I think what's important is the history of, we live in a multicultural society today, but Beverley's story was Britain before it was multicultural. Society today feels there's not an issue there because we got laws and we got a better understanding of what's right and wrong, and we got political correctness. But there are issues there. When you talk to young people, because they can't express it, because everyone thinks there's not a problem. But there are. Under the surface, there's a lot, and there's a lot of young people identify with that. And what the film has done, because it is a story about 16-year-old girls, so the cast is very young, what it's done, it's made the young people actually ask their parents what went on. Yeah, and there's a lot of young people now recognise what their parents has done to help Britain become the multicultural country it is. I look at films today, particularly British films, or the film industry is there to entertain. So the films are good, bad, or indifferent, move on to the next film. You don't talk about films today, you just watch a film, make a comment, good, bad, or indifferent, move on to the next one. It's very rare you get films like this, even though it's short, where people want to talk about it after they've seen it and debate it. You know, and I think films like that are more than just entertainment. You know, there's a huge social message, and everyone gets.
I was going to ask you about sort of the racism, the identity, and if it's a lot more subtle now.
It's how do you explain racism? Back in my day, we suffered in silence, basically. You become bedroom kids, deep, withdrawn, yeah? Because there's nowhere you can go for it. You know, you couldn't complain to the police, you know, and there's no law to back it up. So where can anyone go with it? You know what I mean? And where could you go in a workplace? Where could you complain to? No one could do anything. So you just had to deal with it any way you could yourself. Right? Today, it's kind of reversed. Because everything's there, it's actually holding a lot of people back because they got different problems, you know, in different area, and they can't explain it anywhere. They just have to suffer it in silence. This avert racism, suffer it in silence, because on the surface we feel as a nation everything's sorted now. You know, you haven't got a problem. You see it in the football. You see the issues in the football a lot. You know, with black football players, it's almost, what's the point? You can't go no further. You know, when I take this film around, we just shown it at several screenings since January, and the reactions we're getting is usually from the white audience. Quite strongly, especially after questions and answers. You know what I mean? So it's making people think, and it's making a lot of people, a lot of silent voices say that film's damn right, you know, and they want to nail their colours to the mast as well, you know.
So you're doing your job there. You're making people think.
People in the audience, and each person's totally different, and that's the thing. And the reaction's been the same. It just moves people like yourself. Yeah, are all talking about the film, you know. So yeah, we have got something there. And we knew that from the start, and we're just proud we've achieved it, and we feel the journey's just starting. We can do more.
Hi, my name's Alexander Thomas, and I'm the writer and director of the short film Beverley.
And all I can say is I am particularly impressed, as Thomas is white.
Well, yeah, apparently so. I mean, it was a kind of multi-ethnic group of people making the movie. Obviously, Bev herself is mixed race. Cass, the producer, is black. I'm white, apparently. So, although somebody did say he's a mixed race director as well, which in one piece of press, not true. But yeah, obviously, like the specials and the two-tone movement, we're a kind of very diverse bunch of people making the film. And it's true that I'm white, but a lot of the original story came from Bev, and I researched it thoroughly. Spoke to Bev for hours on end to try and get the authenticity of the time period and so on. So a lot of work went into just understanding it and making it as authentic as possible.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that, because I've really enjoyed everything that I saw so far anyway. But why Beverley? Tell me, why this film? Why did you decide to get involved in this project?
Well, you know, it was Cass's original idea. Cass Pennant, the producer, he's really interested in British subcultures. I'd made a feature film with Cass, a documentary film where I'd been the cameraman actually, about the casual subculture. And you know, Cass is quite passionate about that part of British history, and the two-tone movement is such a culturally vital movement. You know, really did a lot for integration and kind of bringing forward this multicultural British identity that can be celebrated in a positive way. And
could you tell us a little bit more about the two-tone movement?
Yeah, so the two-tone movement, really, it was, you know, the kind of most famous band of that period was the Specials, and they had a label called the Two-Tone label, which kind of ran from 79 to 81, so it was quite a short-lived thing, and it was really a hybrid of kind of British punk music and Jamaican ska music, so it was very much hybrid music. Most of the bands, you know, the Specials, the Selector, most of them had black and white artists and some mixed race artists as well within the group, so it was a very kind of hybrid cultural movement, and it swept the nation in terms of popularity. It became hugely popular and really brought people together, you know, dancing, enjoying themselves, and kind of, you know, help to kind of integrate things really in Britain at a fractious time, really. So it was a very, very important cultural movement that, you know, needs to be celebrated, and there's no film that shows it, only documentary. So we really feel there's a gap, and it's an important cultural thing that needs to be shown, so that's what we tried to do.
Fantastic. And what would you say the main concepts of the film are?
It's very much about identity. Obviously, it focuses on a mixed race girl growing up, and she's kind of searching for her own identity, coming to terms with the shifting sands of society in 1980. Obviously, you had Thatcher coming in at that point, so her move from Highfields, which was a multicultural area, to white suburbia, which happens in the film, is kind of symbolic of a lot of what was happening in the UK at the time. We were losing a lot of kind of the community feeling we had. You know, we were kind of destroying working class areas, pulling out industry, etc., and kind of moving towards a more selfish attitude, aspirational attitude, and so on. And that's certainly something that I could recognise, because I'm actually South Welsh, although I don't have the accent anymore. And I grew up in I grew up in South Wales and in Stratford-on-Avon, which is Midlands, but it's, you know, much more kind of like a kind of Tory town. And so, you know, the things Bev was talking to me about, the difference between Oadby and Highfields was I completely recognised it from my experiences in South Wales, which is very community-based, and Stratford-upon-Avon, which isn't. And so, and I think that, you know, Britain's kind of changing at the time is symbolic of that dichotomy. So for me, that was a really interesting thing to explore.
Right. And how was actually filming in Leicester for you?
It was amazing. We were so lucky on a number of counts. I mean, some people helped us immensely. Scott Finley, Riaz Khan. I mean, I could go on about the people who really gave up so much of their time, their energy, their houses. Incredible kindness from the people of Leicester. I mean, we shut down a whole street at one point in Highfields. So we were really lucky with the generosity of the people in Leicester, and, you know, hopefully we've done them proud, and we'd love to come back and show the film again and get more of Leicester to see this film. But
so you're very pleased with the outcome then? Yeah.
I think the film works. We're getting fantastic feedback, you know. So we premiered in London, actually, at the London Short Film Festival, and we had a 300 seat screening there, completely sold out, and we got fantastic feedback, and you know, that's only built really. So you know, everybody so far has loved the film, so I'm very pleased with the feedback we're getting.
That's absolutely fantastic. One weird question for you now. What influences your identity?
What influences that's a very good question. I think, I mean, like I said before, I'm South Welsh. Both my parents very working class, from mining kind of town in South Wales, and I think that's the biggest influence on my identity. I've got that kind of community-driven, you know, social perspective on things, and that's how I think, and that's what I believe in, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that impacts my identity personally. So, you know, it leads to how I behave, what I choose to do, the things I get involved in, where I work. All of those things are you know, related to that identity. So yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing, my Welsh working class values.
Okay, and finally, What's the future of Bev now? Where to next?
Where to next? Very good question. We really want to make a feature film. You guys have said you'd love to see more, and it's a common statement that the audience tends to make. And we want to make a full length film. As we said, Two Tone hasn't been shown on the big screen. I think it really deserves to. We did a little screening in a college recently, and I asked the audience there, 19, 20-year-olds, how many of you have heard of Two Tone music? And I think 2 put their hands up. And seeing as it's such a vital part of our British cultural heritage, I think that needs to change. So, I really, really hope we get the finance and the backing to make a feature film, and we can come back to Leicester and do it all again on a bigger scale. That would be fantastic. So that's the big hope now.
Hi, I'm Bev Thompson.
And we have just seen Beverley, and wow, I am so amazed. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud of it, and I'm so pleased that you came down to watch the screening today in Leicester. As a teenager, you kind of just want to fit in and be like everybody else. So going to OB and being the odd one out was one hurdle, but the hostility as well. And I think I got away lightly because I was a girl. My brothers were much more intimidated and bullied. And I just wanted to find a way of trying to get to know the local kids and be part of, the comings and going, playing out, talking, chatting. And I found my way in. And once I got to know them, in all fairness, they weren't racist in the sense that they wanted, to hurt me or hated me. It was just that was their common thread, really. That's what they could hold together. And it was difficult times. There was high unemployment, immigration was sort of top of the political agenda, so it was very easy to turn around and blame someone less fortunate than yourself or in a more vulnerable position of yourself, and that's what it was all about. And when we made the film, we realised that it was reflecting a lot of what was going on now with sort of the rise of the EDL and the sort of UKIP following as well, that again immigration was the top of the political agenda, and people who without a voice were getting blamed for things that were totally out of their control.
So you think that nowadays it's kind of mirrored, but in a different ethnic groups and so forth? Do you think that it's still the same situation now, or has it changed a lot?
I think that people who came here in the 50s, particularly sort of Caribbean and the Asian community, they settled here, they had children, and we now, want to call ourselves British and want to sort of embrace our Britishness because we don't know anywhere else. England is home, Leicester is home to us. So I think it's a different now. I think we're much more able to stand up for ourselves and feel a sense of belonging. But for those people who've come here more recently, I imagine it's just as difficult.
Okay, do you think there'll be a lot of people who can actually identify with your struggles in the film?
Yeah, I think anybody who has struggled to find out who I am, what do I stand for, how do I fit in, can relate to the film, whether they're black, white, Asian, young or old. We've all had times in our lives where we felt the odd one out and just want a sense of belonging.
And are you pleased with the outcome of the movie?
Very, very pleased. I mean, they say no praise is self-praise, so I really enjoy finding out what other people think and getting feedback. But from a personal point of view, I'm very, very happy with the film, very proud of it. There's a lot of hard work and passion, and it's really paid off.
That's absolutely fantastic. So tell me about the casting. Did you have much to do with the actual casting or not?
Alex really needs to take the credit for it. I sat in and helped with the readings and played the other parts, so the actors had someone to bounce off. Laya we all agreed on, but Alex did most of the casting, and I think he's done a brilliant job.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think it's all been absolutely fantastic.
There was something really magical about this film, that everything just kind of came together almost spookily, really, when it was locations, whether it was money, whether it was clothes, whether it was cast members, crew members, editors, everybody who could possibly be the best person for the job turned up at the right time and wanted to get involved, and I think that's just testament to what a great story it is, not just because it's Beverley, but it's a story about that everybody can identify. It's about a real person. So one last question. How do you feel having the theme track title song after you, Beverley? It's a good one to boast about, isn't it? And I love the Stone Foundation and absolutely adore the track and the fact that they're putting it on their album and they're making it their opening track and using footage from the film for their video. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits. I want to be big-headed about it because it doesn't happen every day, does it? So where can people catch this actual short film now? It's in screenings around the country, and it's going to carry on screening throughout the rest of the year. So the best thing I can suggest is to go onto the webpage, the www.beverleyfilm.com webpage, and that'll have all the screenings coming up and how you can get tickets and how you can attend. And please come and watch it. And I really, really hope we can come back to Leicester again for a second screening. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Tindy C. This is Radio Fox.